Okay, guys, welcome back to Strong Opinion Hibs. This is episode 20. I'm Calvin, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Charlie. How you doing, Charlie?
I'm good, mate. Aye.
Perfect. And today, we've got the pleasure of being joined by Harry Symeou, from the creator of the Chronicles of a Gooner Podcast. How you doing, Harry?
I'm good, guys. Pleasure to be here, and thanks for having me. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, mate. Really appreciate your time. We're obviously here to preview the friendly match that took place between ourselves, Hibernian, and Arsenal the other night. But before we do that, we'd just like to ask you some quick fire questions, just so that some of the viewers can get to know you a little bit better. So one of the questions we want to start off by asking you, who's your favourite all-time Arsenal player?
Oh, that's a tough question because there's been a few greats during my time of supporting the club, but I think for me, it's probably got to be Thierry Henry.
The king.
Yeah, the king, exactly.
Yeah.
Closely followed by Patrick Vieira, Dennis Bergkamp, etc. But Thierry Henry is probably for me the benchmark in terms of Arsenal greats. There were so many times, he carried us through games. What I loved about Thierry Henry was his playing style, always combining the wonderful flair and kind of vision and technique and ability with the incredible physical attributes that he had as well, in terms of his pace, his strength, his stamina, etc. So for me, Thierry Henry is the king, it's hard because when I say it, I feel like I'm doing a disservice to the likes of Patrick Vieira, Dennis Bergkamp, etc. Tony Adams even too. But Thierry Henry for me was a personal favourite as well. So yeah, the Mr. TH14, the king.
Yeah, I think what was great about Henry as well is he just embodied like everything that was excellent about Arsenal at that time. Like he just represented the club really, really well. It was awesome.
For sure.
What's the greatest Arsenal game you've ever been to?
Oh, that's a tough one. I don't know if it's, I think when you're talking about the greatest game you've ever been to, I think a lot of it is down to your kind of experience as well.
Yeah.
And for me, one of them for sure was when Arsenal beat Barcelona back in 2011. I want to say, I'll probably double check it on Google quickly, but it was the one where Arsenal came back from a goal down to beat Barcelona by 2-1. The Arshavin goal. I don't know.
Arshavin scored. Yeah.
That for me was an incredible night because at the time, obviously, Barcelona were the best team in Europe by a country mile. We had the likes of Cesc Fabregas, Sami Nasri, Jack Wilshere absolutely bossed it that night as well, and it was incredible. And for me, it was a weird personal experience, that one, because I actually, on my way to the game, I was walking down the high road and somebody walking in the other direction bumped into me. And about a minute or two later, after I just thought it was some person rushing, I realized that it was a pickpocket and they'd taken my wallet, which had my season ticket in it.
Oh, man.
And got to the stadium with about half an hour till kickoff. And I was like, shit, my ticket was in that wallet. What on earth am I going to do? And I haven't even got ID because it was in the wallet to go to the box office.
Nightmare.
And get one printed out. So I went over to a steward. I explained to him what happened. Then he said to me, right, you got to go over to the box office. And the queue was a mile long. And I'm standing there watching the clock going, oh my God, I'm going to miss kickoff. And I just about got in the ground on time. So after all of that panic, it was kind of like, well, now I really appreciate that I'm here and that I'm inside the stadium. And when that Arshavin goal went in, I think I ended up probably 4 or 5 rows further down. But yeah, what an incredible night at the Emirates Stadium. I've been to some great ones at Highbury as well, but that one is the one that sticks out because of the experience of the whole night, going from a massive low and panicking and worrying to a massive high at the end of it. So that's up there for me.
Wow.
Yeah. It's good. What's been one of the best goals you've seen live, or your most memorable goal that you've seen?
One of my most memorable goals, and it wasn't the most significant of goals, but was when Thierry Henry returned to the club for that second goal, and he came off the substitutes bench against Leeds and scored a trademark Thierry Henry goal.
I remember watching that.
That atmosphere that goal created was probably as good as I've ever experienced at Arsenal. And just it was like because we'd gone through a bit of a shit period leading up to that, And then for Thierry Henry to come back and then do that, it was like a throwback to the years before. And so that was one of the most memorable for sure. Probably the most memorable. It's not a popular choice, but it is for me.
Yeah. I think one that sticks out for me was his hat trick the last day of Highbury.
Yeah.
That was good as well. Yeah, the penalty, I remember that. What would one dream signing for Arsenal? Who would it be if you could make one dream signing this year?
Dream signing, does that mean I can pick anybody and don't have to worry about the finances?
Yeah, you don't have to worry about the finances of that, just fantasy land.
I would take Lionel Messi because for me, he is probably the greatest player ever, and I'm quite privileged that I've been lucky enough to see him live on multiple occasions. Even if it was mostly Barcelona absolutely wiping the floor with Arsenal, I still got to see Messi live, and it was unbelievable to watch him in action, and to see him pull on that Arsenal shirt would be an absolute dream for sure.
Yeah, that would be cool. I remember we went to Barcelona, played Hibs, because throughout the 70s and the 60s, Hibs used to actually be a really good team. And we used to play in like European competitions quite a lot. We used to compete against Real Madrid and Barcelona and stuff like that. And Barcelona had done like a tour of the old teams that they used to play, and they came to Scotland and they played Hibs and they played Dundee United. And they beat us 6-0 at Murrayfield. But yeah, that was the first night that Lionel Messi wore I think it was the number 10 jersey. It was his first ever game in the number 10 jersey against us, and he was just phenomenal, like absolutely phenomenal. And it was such a pleasure to see him play as well. So really lucky to be able to say I've seen that.
Exactly, it's one to tell the grandkids.
Yeah, I know. Maybe Henry was at Arsenal that was at Barca at that time as well.
I think he scored.
He was
I think
at that
he scored
time.
that night as well.
Yeah, he was. He played for them that night as well. Yeah. So just to jump into the game now, before the game, Hibs released a thing on Twitter showing them solidarity with Saka. What did you make of that? I don't know if you caught that.
Yeah, I did, and I thought that was fantastic because, for me, I think I could look at this from a more detached point of view because I'm not from an English background. I live in London, and obviously I've been an Arsenal supporter all my life. But being from a sort of different background, I think I can look at the England team a little bit more objectively than an England fan. And for me, it was one of those situations where I wasn't really bothered, if I'm being honest, whether England won the Euros or not. But what I was gutted about was that Bukayo Saka was the one that missed the last penalty. Yes, there were two missed before him, but as a player going up for the last one and that being the one that ultimately ends the tournament, is difficult to bounce back from. And I think that what followed that, was disgusting. We've gone from sort of putting everybody's hopes on this young kid. He's 19 years old and he's never taken a penalty for Arsenal at senior level, let alone stepping up on that stage and being tasked with doing that and delivering for England. But what followed was sickening, and it's why I think, and this is going to be controversial, why a lot of people like myself who are from other ethnic backgrounds but grew up in England and in London can't get behind this England team and can't support the England team, because we see this kind of thing happen over and over again. People keep talking about it being the minority. It's not a minority. It might be a minority in terms of the population, but it's a large percentage of these people that attend these football matches, that cause problems, get into stuff, and then when things go wrong, take to social media behind sometimes anonymous names, and sometimes even with their own names on show, to abuse these guys. And it's just disgusting. And as an Arsenal fan, it hurt because it was Saka. And when you've watched the player sort of come up through the ranks the way he has and do it so well and be kind of on cloud nine, you've got this fear that he's going to be sort of ripped down from the top and then stampled on by everybody. And I don't want that to happen to any young player, let alone an Arsenal player. And to see Hibs as well backing him, I think was great. And I'm sure, I'd like to think that over the course of the coming season, that when he does go to away grounds, that he's not going to get the abuse that maybe David Beckham got many years ago when he let England down, supposedly, or, some of the other players. So I hope that people see it for what it is. Gareth Southgate made a massive blunder, in my opinion, picking those 3 guys to take decisive penalties.
Yeah.
It's happened now, but I just don't want it to get in the way of his career. And I think, obviously, Bukayo Saka wasn't involved at Hibs, but I'm sure he would have seen that, and I'm sure he'll be starting to get over it and feeling the love from everyone, because it is coming from everywhere.
Yeah, totally agree. It was nice to see Hibs put that out there as well, and sort of put the, because there can be quite a divide with like Scotland and England and things like that, and a lot of people generally think Scotland don't want the England national team to do well. It's not really the team, because we like a lot of the players. How can you not like Rashford, Saka, Grealish? There's a lot of great football players in the team, but I think it's just the BBC and the media and stuff like that just really like blow it up. But it was really nice to see them put the differences aside and just everybody get behind them, because it's bigger than football. And like you said, like, it is disgusting. And it was really nice to see Hibs like printed him a shirt with his name on the back and stuff like that. And I don't know if he'll get that if they give it to Arsenal and they give it to him, but it'd be pretty cool to see him in a Hibs top. Probably not. Yeah. So when just starting on the game, it was really a glamour friendly for us when it got announced. We were absolutely buzzing, because Arsenal are such a big team, and to go along for the likes of us and to see these players was excellent. Because usually players come to Scotland at like the end of the year, like we've seen Roy Keane come to Celtic, Lundberg went to Celtic, and we get to see them like every now and then, sort of at the tail end of their career. But it's really nice to have a big glamour friendly like that we haven't had for a while. What was your sort of thoughts with the pre-season friendly when you seen it was against Hibs? Not much, I'd imagine, but
no, for me it was a good friendly, because it's against the side that are at a good level. Obviously, Hibs enjoyed a really good season last year in the SPL, and so I think it was a good friendly in that sense, that the level of opposition was of a high standard. Not only that, Hibs are further down the line in terms of their pre-season, so in terms of their fitness, etc. So it's a good test. I think for Arsenal, pre-season is a little bit strange in a tournament year, because what happens is half of your squad is missing still because they've not returned or they're on holiday. I think in the case of Arsenal fans as well, we're all in a place now where we want to see signings come in, and we're kind of getting frustrated at the lack of that. And pre-season for me is like an opportunity to look at your new toys, basically, to look at new players, new kits, whatever, and things like that. And that's what you look forward to in pre-season. So it was a good test for us. Obviously, you guys won the game and deserved to win the game. But I'm not like the rest of the Arsenal. I'm not the rest. Like a lot of Arsenal fans who have gone into absolute meltdown about it, because it's not that important. It is a friendly, and it is, at this point, for Arsenal anyway, where we are still a few weeks behind you guys, it is a fitness building exercise, and probably not much more than that.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And we were kind of saying the same thing, because in our pre-season tour, we've been beaten off of it. We got beat off Accrington Stanley 1-0, which is like our first game, and then going away and beating Arsenal was obviously like, you can't take much from it. But one of the things, did you expect to see so many superstars playing, the likes of Aubameyang, Lacazette? Because I think for us, we, like, it was £26 for a ticket, so that put a lot of people off immediately, just because how much they'd stuck by the club through the pandemic, and to pay £400 for a season ticket, not even get to go to the games, and then the next time, the first time back at Easter Road, slapped with a £26 price ticket, was a lot. And we didn't even know if some of the big superstars like Aubameyang, Granit Xhaka, quite a few others would have been playing, because obviously they were maybe having a rest from the Euros. Did you expect to see many of the first team stars play?
Yeah, I did, because I know that a lot of them weren't involved in international competitions this summer. And it's probably, obviously, as an Arsenal fan and someone who works reporting on the club, you know that, because it's for me, it was, you look at Aubameyang, not involved in international competition. Thomas Partey, he wasn't involved in there either. So I expected them to play. I wasn't sure how many minutes they'd get. And obviously, he got like a good half out of, for example, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang and a couple of others. But with Arsenal, there is, contrary to what people think, although we've underperformed in recent seasons, there is quite a bit of depth in that squad. And so, yeah, I wasn't surprised at all to see them involved. And I think we'll see them probably more heavily involved as the friendlies go on and as we get closer to the condition we need to be at to start the campaign.
Yeah. So just, we are obviously a Hibs podcast, so we just want to ask your opinion on Hibs. Is it a team that you'd heard much of beforehand? I think a lot of people outside of Scotland really know about Celtic and Rangers, but did you see anything about Hibs beforehand, or did you know anything about them?
Yeah, I mean, I've got to be honest. I don't keep a massive eye on the Scottish League. It's a league that I kind of glance at, and probably like many casuals, I'm one of these guys who tunes in for the Old Firm derby and
yeah,
not much else. But Hibs, obviously, as I said, they had a good season last season. Always keep an eye on the tables of all the leagues across Europe. So to see them up there was impressive. And your manager at the moment is someone that a lot of people will recognise from the Sunderland documentary.
That's right. Yeah,
that he kind of made him famous, didn't it? So no, I was quite aware of how Hibernian were on the right track and were moving forward. And I know Mixu Patalainen as well. So
there you go.
Yeah,
that's my Hibs connections.
Obviously, as we've already said, it was just a pre-season friendly. But what did you think of the way Hibs played? Was there any players that stuck out to you that surprised you? What did you think of their formation and the way they passed the ball, their overall play?
I thought they look a really slick team in terms of the way they play the game. I like the way they move the ball. They move it quickly. They're quite direct as well. I think from an Arsenal perspective, the goals we conceded were avoidable.
Especially the first one. That was the one that, like, I feel bad for that keeper because it was not his like first sort of test at in the first team, and just I wonder how much he'll be feeling it after that.
Yeah, for sure. And the way some Arsenal fans can be, which is quite toxic, is not helpful. He's someone, by the way, who just signed the new long-term contract.
Oh, wow.
Literally days before that match, he was being touted as a really good prospect. And then he gets his first opportunity and he makes a mistake. And that mistakes happen. I don't think the pass back to him was particularly good either. But yeah, hopefully that doesn't impact him too much. But aside from that, I thought Hibs looked at a tidy side, an organised side. I thought in the second half, Arsenal created a lot of opportunities and just didn't take them. And the result could have been very different. But if I was a Hibs fan, I'd take confidence, because certainly in the first half, they were as good as a side, which you mentioned was had quite a few household names in it. So yeah, I'd certainly be impressed if I was a Hibs fan and confident going into your Europa Conference League.
I
hope so.
Yeah, I hope so as well. Yeah. Were there any players sort of in the Hibs team you might not be familiar with any, but is there any that surprised you? I know Arsenal have been linked with Josh Doig, which is our left back. In recent times, he didn't actually feature in the match, but I don't know if you've seen any of him. Australian international Martin Boyle had a really good game as well, the number 10. Was there anyone that stuck out or anything like that?
Martin Boyle was the one I was going to mention. He just seemed like a handful all the time.
Yeah.
I think, was it Nisbet as well?
Yeah.
Nisbet, yeah.
Looked quite dangerous as well. But I'll be honest, I don't know a lot about Hibs, and I don't want to lie and pretend that I do. But yeah, those are the players that the first time that I've seen them obviously stood out to me for sure.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, so you might be aware that we signed Matt Macey when I think he got released from Arsenal in January, or we'd signed him on a loan or whatever. But what was your thoughts when you heard that he was leaving Arsenal to come up to Scotland? Do you think it was a potential step down for him, or how did he really get on at Arsenal is what I'm trying to get at here?
He didn't get many opportunities at Arsenal, Matt Macey. The ones he did get, he looked okay. He got a couple of appearances in the sort of Carabao Cup in recent seasons. He's an absolute giant, isn't he, of a man?
He's huge.
Which stands you in good stead as a goalkeeper normally. So, yeah, I think he's someone that can go on and become a really decent goalkeeper. I'm not going to say that the move to Hibs was a step down, because I think he's playing at a club competing at the top of the SPL, which is what Hibs are. And for me, as a goalkeeper especially, you've got to be playing football. Like, a lot of what goalkeepers do is habit, coming and collecting the ball, being able to control the ball in pressure situations, knowing what pass to pick out. A lot of that is habit and routine, and you need to be doing it week in, week out. And at Arsenal, he wasn't getting that opportunity. Was I disappointed to lose him? I'm not going to say I was kind of crying about it because, as I say, we hadn't seen a lot of him. There wasn't enough of Matt Macey in an Arsenal shirt for us to really make a judgment on whether he was good enough to step up to the next level.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good move for him. And I don't like the idea of big clubs sort of hogging all this talent that doesn't then get a chance to go out and flourish. So if they're not part of the plans, then move on. And I'm glad he has, and he looks like he's landed on his feet at Hibs. So good luck to him.
Yeah, he's going to be our number one this year, which is good. But in a similar vein, do you think there's any other Arsenal players, maybe in the development squad, that could do with potentially a move up to Hibs or another Scottish team like that?
Yeah, I think there's a few that probably need to move on. I think there's players like somebody like Reece Nelson, who you guys got a glimpse of in the first half. I think he needs to move on. I'm not sure Reece Nelson would necessarily be open to moving to Scotland, just because he's someone who spent some time in Germany in the German top flight, and he'll probably feel like if he does need to move on, somewhere like that might be a little bit more appealing. I don't mean that disrespectfully. I just think he holds his own stock higher than, of course, than a lot of clubs. And I'm not sure that he's right in doing that because he's never really proven it for us. And there's a few players like that at Arsenal. Eddie Nketiah is another one who probably needs to move somewhere where he's going to play regularly and get a chance to score goals and show what he can do. But yeah, we could go on all day. There's so many Arsenal players who are on the fringes of the first team, not quite made the breakthrough yet, but equally seem to fancy themselves as world beaters and don't want to go anywhere. So it's hard.
Yeah. No, of course. So last question for you, Harry. What's your sort of hopes for this season? Where do you realistically expect to finish, and how do you think you'll do in the cups in Europe, etc.?
It's so hard for Arsenal because, well, first of all, we haven't qualified for Europe for the first time in a quarter of a century, which is hard.
Seen that, yeah.
And that obviously has impacts in terms of the club's status, but it also has an impact financially, because it's a big revenue stream for a club like Arsenal. So to not be in Europe is hard, but I guess if you're looking at the positives, you would say that where Mikel Arteta had a couple of days to prepare for each game last season, he's probably got a whole week now, and hopefully his coaching style and tactical kind of side of things can come across a little bit more. I think a good season for Arsenal would be to finish in the top six. And it's not what Arsenal fans want to hear. You know, Arsenal fans will tell you we should be in the top four. But when you look at where Man City are, when you look at what Chelsea are currently achieving, and the fact that they're making offers today for Erling Haaland as well.
I saw that.
You know, and then you've got Liverpool, who were the champions the season before last and ended last season very strongly. Manchester United are going to spend big again as well. You know, people like Leicester, Everton, Tottenham, these clubs are all in around there. So I think a good season for Arsenal would be sixth in the top six, but a great season for Arsenal would be to finish in the top four. I don't know if Mikel Arteta is going to achieve that. I've got to be honest. The jury's out because it's not gone as he'd have liked so far. I think there's a good manager in there somewhere, but I just wonder if he's taken too big of a task too early on in his career, and if he's going to have to reset a little bit and go a step back to then rebuild himself again. It's a tough job, but that's not just his fault. There's so many issues at the club behind the scenes as well that are making it a much tougher job than it needs to be. So, as I say, top six would be good. Top four would be great.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, thanks for your time. We really appreciate you coming on and just giving a little review of obviously the Hibs versus Arsenal match. We really appreciate your time. As I mentioned earlier, there'll be a lot of people listening that will also perhaps be Arsenal fans or fans of English football. Where can people find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Harry Symeou. You can find me on the Chronicles of a Gooner YouTube channel and podcast. And you can find me on 90 Min. You can find me on TalkSport. You can find me all over the place. Best things to follow me on Twitter because that's where I kind of share everything.
Perfect. Well, once again, just want to say thanks for agreeing to come on and giving us your time and a little bit of attention. We really appreciate that.
No worries. Thank you guys for having me, and best of luck with the podcast.
Yeah, thanks very much, mate.